So what we see here is Ragnell still has 6 cards in his hand, and now he's going to go ahead and activate the Book of Life. So the Book of Life allows him to basically Monster Reborn a zombie in his graveyard and banish 1 card in the opponent's graveyard as well. Now, Muribeca went ahead and tried to negate it with Cyber Dragon Infinity, but that was met with Ragnell's Ghost Ogre and Snow Rabbit, getting rid of that 2700 attack monster from his side of the field. Welcome to Fantasia, home of the Melodias. My name's Azallea, and today, gonna be bringing you guys a little stream highlight. So this highlight was actually taken as an excerpt from last week's stream. If you guys want to tune into future live streams, I go live every Saturday at 8 p.m. Eastern Time on YouTube, so come join in on the fun. But anyway, without any further ado, let's just jump right into this, and I'll see you guys at the end of the video. Okay guys, so we have Ragnell versus Muribeca right here. Let's see what they're going to bring to the table for another episode of Viewer versus Viewer Duels. Okay, so starting off with the rock, paper, scissors, we see that rock obviously beats the scissors, and Muribeca is going first. Okay, so Muribeca is on the opposite side of the screen, and Ragnell is the side that's facing closest toward us. So Muribeca went ahead and set 1 back row and set 1 monster to his side of the field. We're back to the 2004 meta, guys, so don't worry, we're just taking it slow. So Ragnell going off, starting off and normal summoning his Shiranui Solitaire. Solitaire is like a Lone Fire Blossom, but for zombies. So going ahead and summoning out the Uni Zombie right here. It's a very standard zombie archetype combo, or I guess, I don't know if zombies could be considered an archetype. Well, anyways, Uni Zombie going ahead activating its effect to go ahead and send a Mizuki from the deck to the graveyard, but Muribeca retaliates with the Ghost Ogre and Snow Rabbit, destroying that Uni Zombie, so that Ragnell is forced to burn that Mizuki that he just sent on reviving that Uni Zombie back to his side of the field. Now, Uni Zombie just doesn't care, and Ragnell says whatever, because apparently he had another Mizuki in his hand that he discarded with Uni Zombie's other effect. And now Uni Zombie and Solitaire are now both on the field, and they go for a synchro summon into Psyframe Lord Omega. Ragnell could not actually conduct a battle phase there because of the fact that Uni Zombie restricts attacks to only zombie type monsters if it uses the effect where it sends a zombie from the deck to the graveyard. So that's why he didn't attack there, for those of you who are wondering and unfamiliar with how zombies operate. So now that Omega's on the field, he can go ahead and start recycling those Mizukis from the banished zone back into his graveyard, which is of course fantastic for resource management, and of course Ragnell has 4 more cards in his hand. Now Muribeca going ahead normal summoning Eccentric Boy to his side of the field. Oh man, and then Ragnell going ahead activating the Psyframe Lord Omega, sniping that Solar Windjammer out from his hand. And it looks like Muribeca's not too happy, the sad face right there in chat, and that's because that Solar Windjammer was probably the card that he was going to use with Eccentric Boy. Eccentric Boy allowing him to go ahead and synchro with cards in his hand as long as that monster summoned has its effects negated, cannot activate its effects, and is removed from the field when it's removed, and is removed from play when it's removed from the field. So that is what that card does. But instead he goes ahead, flips over his Bhutan, and has his Eccentric Boy as well, and then goes for the Crystal Needle Fiber. Needle Fiber is met with Ash Blossom and Joyous Spring, so he can't summon anything out from his deck, but then Muribeca goes for some damage, passes turn back to Ragnell, and Ragnell's Omega comes back to his side of the field, and now Uni Zombie is being summoned yet again. So Uni Zombie coming in clutch, going to be able to set up a lot of the graveyard plays. As long as he's not sending things directly from the deck to the graveyard, he's going to be in a good position because then Omega can still attack. Alright, so now Uni Zombie going ahead, discarding the Vampire Retainer to the graveyard, and Vampire Retainer going ahead, discarding Scarlet Scrooge, and now the Retainer can go ahead and search because it was special summoned, and it's going to go ahead and add a Vampire Spell and Trap card from the deck to the hand, and in this case Ragnell's searching off with a Counter Trap. Counter Trap, the Vampire Domination. So we see Ragnell going for a Link Summon of his own, we have Vampire Sucker coming out, and the Mizuki being banished from the graveyard, summoning out the Vampire Scrooge, and the Scarlet. Scarlet being summoned out means a vampire was summoned from the graveyard onto the side of the field, so Vampire Sucker can go ahead and draw a card. So Ragnell's looking really good in the resource department. being able to basically use his graveyard as a second hand, and also being able to get cards from his deck, tutor things out, search things as well. It's all very nice. Now, Ragnell does not have enough damage to go for game, but he has enough to go ahead and at least try to attack over to this Crystron Needle Fiber. Oh, but looky here, we have Vampire Freyline? Something of that sort. I still can't pronounce this card's name. We'll go with Freyline. So, Freyline is being summoned to his side of the field. He's paying 3,000 life points to deal 3,000 extra damage to the opponent. Well, not 3,000 extra damage, but boosting up the Vampire Sucker by 3,000 attack points, right? And then attacking with the Vampire Scarlet, and now attacking with the Cyframe Lord Omega for perfect game. Alright, so that's it. That concludes it for that one. Okay. So it looks like we're going to go into a round 2, Ragnell versus Muribeca. So let's see if we can get a more engaging game going on right here. Alright, so Muribeca looks like he's starting off with a much stronger hand. At least he has a play other than set 1 and set a back row. So he's going to go ahead and activate the Galaxy Soldier in his hand, pitching the Mystical Shine Ball to the graveyard to go ahead and search out another copy of itself. So he can potentially use them as materials, or potentially even overlay them. It depends on what he's using in his extra deck. Okay. Other Galaxy Soldier is being activated, discarding the Agent of Mystery Earth. That's actually quite interesting that he didn't normal summon the Earth and go for a summon or a search and then use the Venus as a material. But anyway, going to go ahead and overlay into the Cyber Dragon Infinity. Alright, with one set back row defending the Infinity. Now we have a 2700 attack monster on Muribeca's side of the field, much better than what we saw last time. Ragnell going second again, going for turn, drawing a card, and now Tides of Turn, he's just setting a card to his side of the field, and it's not really looking too good. Muribeca seems to be in a very commanding position right now. Master Hyperion coming out. What kind of meta is this? How many years have we time traveled into the past? Master Hyperion banishing the Mystical Shine Ball to pop that Vampire Familiar on Ragnell's side of the field, and then going and attacking for a bunch of damage. 2,700 damage times 2, leaving Ragnell at only 2,600 life points left, so he needs to do something. Even though Infinity has one negation, Ragnell still has to try to make a play. So Ragnell's going to go ahead and activate Familiar, discarding the Scarlet from his hand, summoning Familiar back to his side of the field, and Familiar can now go for a search. But it's met with a Ghost Ogre and Snow Rabbit, which is unfortunate because now Familiar is banished and cannot be used for something like potentially a Linked Summon. But the good thing is that he did not yet use his normal summon, so that is something that is still open to him. So what we see here is Ragnell still has 6 cards in his hand, and now he's going to go ahead and activate the Book of Life. So the Book of Life allows him to basically Monster Reborn a zombie in his graveyard and banish 1 card in the opponent's graveyard as well. Now, Muribeca went ahead and tried to negate it with Cyber Dragon Infinity, but that was met with Ragnell's Ghost Ogre and Snow Rabbit, getting rid of that 2,700 attack monster from his side of the field. So Book of Life actually was still negated by the Cyber Dragon Infinity because Ghost Ogre does not negate the effect. It only destroys the monster, which is still pretty nice for Ragnell. So he goes ahead, normal summons his Mizuki, and then activates Vampire Territory to his side of the field. Now, going into the battle phase, Mizuki is attacking into Master Hyperion, and Vampire Freyline is being activated in the hand, special summoned to his side of the field, and now Freyline and Vampire Territory are a fantastic combination because Freyline, you can pay life points to boost the attack of your monsters. But then, when your monsters destroy an opponent's monster by battle, or at least your vampire monsters, Vampire Territory allows you to gain that many life points back. So that is something that is very, very good. Now, Muribeca has no monster on his side of the field, and Ragnell set a card to his side of the field, and during the end phase of his turn, Muribeca goes ahead and activates the Heavy Dust Storm, going ahead, blowing back Ragnell's back row, and destroying the Vampire Territory and the Vampire Domination, which is actually very nice because if that Vampire Domination were to be live, oh man, this Brilliant Fusion that Muribeca just top decked would have been dead. So Muribeca going for that Brilliant Fusion. What monster is he going to summon? We're not really sure, but the most common one, of course, is going to be Seraphonite. Seraphonite being summoned to his side of the field, indeed, using Mystical Shine Ball and Lazuli as material. So Lazuli going to go ahead and add back that Mystical Shine Ball to his hand. Muribeca just trying to get as much value as he can out of his cards right now. So he's still staring down a Mizuki and a Freyline, and he doesn't really have too many options to go for. His extra monster zone is clogged, so that is something to keep in mind, but he does have that Shine Ball. He can potentially make a Link too, but he still has to be, of course, very careful, very careful of that Freyline right there. Okay, so Muribeca going ahead, sending that Mystical Shine Ball to his side of the field, so 500 defense on that. And then Seraphonite, of course, with that 0 attack, 0 defense. Vampire Sucker being summoned to his side of the field, using the Freyline and the Mizuki. Now Mizuki is banishing itself from the graveyard, special summoning that Freyline back from the graveyard, which allows Vampire Sucker to grab him an additional draw. Now he drew into a copy of 1-for-1, and he's pitching a copy of Mizuki from his hand. What is going on here, guys? This is an amazing play. Vampire Familiar coming out, paying 500 life points to go ahead and search for Vampire Scarlet Scrooge. Now, I don't believe he's used his normal summon yet, so there we go. The Vampire Familiar is being tributed for the Scarlet Scrooge, and now Scrooge is on Ragnell's side of the field, and this is looking pretty good. Ragnell does only have 500 life points left, so it is still very close, this duel. But Muribeca sitting at a comfortable 7,900 life points, just gonna go ahead and let his Seraphonite and his Mystical Shine Ball go to the graveyard, and then being attacked directly by the Vampire Sucker for 1,600 damage. Okay, so now Vampire Freyline gonna go ahead, activate its effect, and summoning that Gemini Seraphonite to his side of the field. Vampire Scrooge going to go ahead and summon that Mystical Shine Ball as well. So Ragnell has pretty good value out of his cards as of right now. So 5 monsters on his side of the field, one of them of which is a Link 2 monster, so he could potentially either Link Climb or just establish an even stronger board, but he says, you know what, there's no point in doing that. My opponent is literally top decking right now, so let's see what he has in store for us. Now, Muribeca going ahead, top decking into the Venus. Venus gonna go ahead and pay life points for that Mystical Shine Ball to come onto his side of the field, and Ragnell realizes his mistake of keeping Freyline in attack position. What happened there? I don't know, I couldn't speak, I'm sorry. But anyway, Venus is going to be able to attack the Freyline, and Freyline can't defend herself because Ragnell only has 500 life points left, and this Venus is going to be able to deal the necessary damage for game, because even if Ragnell pays 500, he's going to be basically suiciding. So, wow, that is amazing. So that is game number 2 between Ragnell and Muribeca. Alright guys, so it looks like we're on game number 3. I was not expecting this to go into a match, but hey, because these games are rather short, let's just jump right into this. So this is going to be the tiebreaker game between Ragnell and Muribeca. This is actually pretty interesting. They're 1-for-1 right now. So let's see how this turns out. Ragnell won the first game, and then Muribeca came back with a really nice clutch for the second game, and now we're in the third one here. So Ragnell goes ahead, just normal summons his Vampire Retainer, and now we have Solar Windjammer coming out from Muribeca. Now, what Ragnell is doing here is he summoned out his Vampire Retainer, but that's telegraphing, at least to me, that he has a Freyline in his hand that he can potentially summon out to his side of the field during the battle phase if his opponent declares an attack. So that is something that his opponent definitely has to watch out for, and I'm not sure if Muribeca realizes this. But anyway, Solar Windjammer being special summoned to his side of the field because he controls the monsters, and then normal summoning the Buten to go ahead and use it as a tuner for the material for the Crystron Needle Fiber. So Needle Fiber going ahead, activating his effect to go ahead and special summon a tuner out from the deck. Ghost Ogre Snow Rabbit being activated in return, destroying that Needle Fiber. No more Link shenanigans for you, Needle Fiber. Back to the OCG you go. But we're still waiting on what Muribeca is going to potentially summon out with this Crystron Needle Fiber, because Ghost Ogre does not negate its effects, so Needle Fiber can still summon a tuner out from the deck, and in this case, he's going to go for the Ghost Ogre and Snow Rabbit. But it looks like Muribeca doesn't really have a follow-up play to that Ghost Ogre, and he's going to go ahead and set a back row and pass his turn. So now it's Ragnell's turn to make some magic happen. These have been pretty back and forth duels, so really excited to see what goes on this turn. So one thing to keep in mind is that these vampire cards, at least the Retainer and I believe the other Familiar, that's a level 1 monster, these have to activate in the graveyard. So in which case, Ragnell goes ahead and tributes for the Freyline, and then tributes over the Vampire Retainer, actually, putting it into the graveyard. Activating the Book of Life, which is a monster reborn, yet again, that banishes an opponent's monster, banishing the opponent's Bhutan, rest in peace to Bhutan, but then going ahead and summoning that Vampire Retainer out from the graveyard. But Muribeca goes ahead, chains his Shared Ride, that's what his set card was, so every time Ragnell adds a card from his deck to his hand, he can actually draw some more cards alongside of him, which is really, really nice. It's something that people in the meta, the more pro players, have regarded as like the maxi of the current format, with things like Sky Strikers and things running around. But you see that even in a casual setting, this is a really powerful card and can definitely see its niche uses. So now we see Vampire Retainer going ahead and searching out a card. Let's go ahead and take a look at what it was. It looked like he searched out Vampire Awake. So Awakening, at least that is what the TCG name is, which allows him to special summon a vampire monster from his deck, but he has to destroy it during the end phase of the turn. And he has to activate 1 Vampire Awakening per turn. Okay, so basically, he gets a free special summon and then the monster dies, but that's completely fine because things like Retainer, things like the Familiar, get searches when they are special summoned, so that's very powerful. So now Freyline and Vampire Retainer, they both attacked over the Ghost Ogre and then dealt some damage to the opponent. 2 cards are set to Ragnell's back row, and now it's Muribeca's turn yet again to try to come back from this. So let's take a look at what is going to happen next. How is Muribeca going to deal with the fact that his Bhutan was banished? Poor little piggy. Okay, anyway, Muribeca says, you know what, we're gonna get some revenge, and to do that, we're gonna normal summon the Agent of Mystery Earth, but, oh, what is this? Vampire Domination coming out, the counter trap, negating the effect of Earth and destroying it. So, but we see here that Earth is actually banished because Master Hyperion was summoned by banishing it from the graveyard. Now Master Hyperion's sitting there on the field. He can banish 1 Light Fairy type monster from the graveyard to go ahead and target 1 card in the field and destroy it. We're going back, guys. We're regressing our meta, but unfortunately there's nothing in the graveyard for Master Hyperion to use, but he does have now a 2700 attack beat stick on his side of the field. Unfortunately, because he can't get over Vampire Freyline, he is unable to go ahead and conduct his battle phase and attack into his opponent's field because Freyline again can just go ahead and just pay life points up to 3,000 and boost the vampire monsters that's battling by that much. So Ragnell going ahead and normal summoning his Uni-Zombie that he just drew, or potentially maybe had in his hand. Who knows at this point, but it doesn't really matter because Mizuki is being sent, and Mizuki now has the potential to go ahead and be used in the graveyard to revive some cards. Now what Ragnell could do to get some actual zombies into the graveyard is go for a potential Link summon, potentially go for something like Vampire Sucker. Alright, and that's exactly what he is doing right here, using 2 of his vampire cards, going for the Link summon of Vampire Sucker. Vampire Wake is also being activated here, putting another vampire monster on board. We see Scarlet Scrooge coming out. That's very, very powerful. Okay, so now what we have here is Vampire Retainer being summoned out by the Scrooge. And Retainer, when it's summoned, can actually go ahead and search for a copy of a Vampire Spell or Trap card. So that's very, very nice. So we see that Vampire Sucker also gets its effect that activates, so after this search, Sucker can actually grab another draw. So it looks like Ragnell is in a very, very commanding position right now. And it looks like Vampire Territory is being searched out, so even though he's going to have to pay some amount of life points to go ahead and try and attack over the Hyperion, he's going to be able to recover some of those life points that are paid as a cost through this card, and it's going to be very, very essential to attacking over his opponent's board while maintaining enough life points for his other card effects. So now activating that Vampire Territory, Ragnell's going into the battle phase. Vampire Scarlet Scrooge is going to go ahead and attack into the Master Hyperion, and Freyline is going to go and help him out, just boosting his attack points. Now, how much Ragnell is going to pay is really up to him, but it looks like he's going all in. 3,000 life points paid, 2,500 damage dealt, and 2,500 life points recovered, so that was a very good exchange. Now, Vampire Sucker going to go ahead, attack the opponent, 1,600 damage, and recovering 1,600 life points. Freyline going in for some more pokes, so 600 damage on board right there, 600 damage, well, recovered for Ragnell. He's back at 8,000 life points, guys, and that's pretty big. Now, the reason why Vampire Retainer could not attack is because of Scarlet Scrooge's restriction on its special summon effect, but Scarlet Scrooge, at the end of the battle phase, goes ahead and activates, but Ghost Ogre Snow Rabbit, yet again, very common hand trap that we're seeing in these duels, and Ghost Ogre goes ahead and destroys the Scarlet Scrooge, but not before Master Hyperion gets special summoned to Ragnell's side of the field. Now, Ragnell cannot use this effect of Hyperion because, of course, he does not have any Light Fairy type monsters in the graveyard, but he now has a 2700 attack beat stick that Muribeca has to deal with. And it looks like Muribeca has exactly 2700 life points left as well. So really the only major problem card that he has to get over is this Freyline, because this Freyline is basically allowing him to run over all of Muribeca's beat sticks. Now, Muribeca goes ahead, sets a card to his back row. His Shared Ride didn't really get too much value on the previous turn that he used it. He only really got like a 1-for-1 at that point. So now we see Mystical Shine Ball being summoned and Imduk being summoned out to the field as well. Imduk is able to go ahead and destroy whatever it points to actually at the start of damage step. So Imduk at the start of damage step is going to go ahead and destroy this Vampire Retainer, and Muribeca trying to put up a fight, but it looks like it's not really going to be too useful here, unless of course that back row is a Mirror Force of some sort. Mirror Force is in 2018, boys. Mirror Force is in 2018. Okay, so now Ragnell goes ahead, banishes the Mizuki from the graveyard to go ahead and summon the Scarlet Scrooge back to his side of the field. And again, Vampire Sucker gonna go ahead and get that draw. Scarlet Scrooge gonna go ahead and pay 1,000 life points to summon out Vampire Retainer. So he's just rebuilding his board with just the price of one banished Mizuki, which is not that bad. So now we see the Vampire Retainer being able to go ahead and grabbing Ragnell a Search. So that's pretty good. And we see that Vampire Domination coming out, that counter trap card, which is very, very essential for shutting down Muribeca's play, especially because he only has one card left in hand. And, well, that's pretty much all he really has at this point, because we see that Nightmare Phoenix is being summoned, and we see, well, that back row is going to get popped. Heavy Dust Storm is coming out here in retaliation, destroying the Vampire territory, but it doesn't really look that good for Muribeca because, yeah, now the Vampire Sucker is going to go ahead and attack into the Imduk. Imduk's effect can't really activate at this point because the fact that, well, is not really pointing to the Vampire Sucker. Freyline gonna go ahead, come in, boosting the attack by 3,000, so 4,600 damage on this sucker. Gonna go ahead and attack to 800 damage, 800 attack on Imduk, and that is gonna be it for game. So that was a really well played match there, guys. Congratulations on the amazing back and forth. This is the type of stuff we like to see here. Alright guys, thank you all so much for watching this video. I really do appreciate it. If you would like to stay updated on future live streams, make sure to follow me on Twitter or join my Discord server. Links to both will be in the description down below. And until next time, take care.